Good morning, Bishop Lynch. Today is Wednesday, September 19th, 2018. I'm Max Danielson, and you're watching this week's edition of Across Campus. With all that's been happening in the news this summer, it's so hard to condense it into one single segment. Oh wait, it is possible. This is this year's first edition of Education.
With how many current events that are going on in today's world, it can be quite difficult to keep track of everything. That's why in this series, I'll be attempting to sum up a current event into an easily understandable and discussable topic. I'm Edward Brady, and this is Education. Education is a show where I give you, the viewers, an in-depth analysis of a current event. I go over how the event happened, what is going on, and how people are reacting to it. Today's video, however, is a special episode. Because there were just so many things that happened over the summer, I couldn't pick just one. So, rather than going into an in-depth analysis of one event, I will be giving you a quick review of everything that has happened from May to August. Disclaimer: the following video is a report based on research and research alone. My mission is to give you reliable information and leave you to make your own informed judgment. The statements in this video do not reflect the opinions of Edward Brady, the Across Campus team, or the BL community as a whole. In May, Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced that the U.S. would take a stricter stance on illegal crossings at the Mexican border, which would result in parents and children being separated rather than keeping them together in detention centers. According to Time, officials announced from April 19th to May 31st, some 1,995 children were separated from roughly as many adults at the U.S. border. On June 12th, Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un met in Singapore to work towards complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Despite this, according to The Hill, Pyongyang continues to work on ballistic missile and nuclear weapons development. As such, White House National Security Advisor John Bolton said the U.S. will not lift economic penalties on North Korea until the country shows greater progress towards disassembling its nuclear and ballistic missile programs. However, according to the BBC, a group of elderly South Koreans are in North Korea meeting relatives they have not seen since the Korean War. There are 83 North Koreans and 89 South Koreans. 100 people were selected from each side, but some dropped out after learning the relatives they wanted to visit were dead. On June 11th, the Federal Communications Commission's repeal of net neutrality took effect. According to the New York Times, the rules enacted by the administration of President Barack Obama in 2015 prohibited internet providers from charging more for certain content or from giving preferential treatment to certain websites. On June 19th, the United States withdrew from the United Nations Human Rights Council. According to NPR, Nikki Haley announced that the U.S. took action because the United States commitment does not allow us to remain part of a hypocritical and self-serving organization that makes a mockery of human rights. On July 2nd, rescuers found 12 young wild boar soccer players and their coach trapped in the flooding Tom Lung Cave. All 12 boys were rescued by July 10th. On July 16th, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin met in Helsinki. However, no details are known about what was said. On July 31st, the 81-year-old Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy stepped down. A replacement has yet to be inserted. On August 9th, Vice President Mike Pence announced the creation of a new military branch, the Space Force. According to the Washington Post, Pence warned of the advancements that potential adversaries are making and issued what amounted to a call to arms to preserve the military's dominance in space. On August 25th, U.S. Senator and former presidential candidate John McCain died of brain cancer. He was 81 years old and leaves behind a wife and 7 children. On August 26th, a mass shooting occurred at the Jacksonville Landing. Elijah Caton and Taylor Robertson were killed, and 10 more were injured. The shooter was David Katz, who killed himself. I hope you've learned something from this and can maybe even start some discussions of your own. This has been Edward Brady reporting for Across Campus.
Have you ever had the feeling of lightheadedness, or that you were going to pass out, or even that you felt nausea? Chances were you were about to faint. Luke and Hailey have a little bit more about what fainting is and how it impacts society today.
Fainting is an issue worldwide, especially in teenagers. Nurse Barton wants to bring more awareness to this topic.
Fainting is when there's a decrease in oxygen or blood flow to the brain, anytime that the brain, because of maybe not eating enough, having low blood pressure, different causes that could cause your brain to not get enough oxygen or nutrients, and if that happens, you're likely going to feel faint or faint. Other things that cause fainting would be hunger, low blood pressure, low blood sugar, being dehydrated, fear, stress. We have a number of students that, for different reasons, have experienced fainting episodes here at school, and if it's never happened to you before, it's a scary feeling. And I think for people to be aware, know more about it, it would be less frightening, and they would know what to do if that feeling comes up.
Multiple studies have shown that 20 to 30% of fainting episodes have cardiac causes, 10 to 20% have other causes, and 30 to 50% remain unexplained in spite of extensive evaluations.
I was in Disney World last year for a school volleyball tournament, and I hadn't eaten anything, and I took an allergy pill, and we were standing outside for a really long time, and I fainted, and then I threw up in front of everyone. But then I went to Disney World after.
If you feel like you're going to faint, what not to do is you don't want to try to walk. If it's here in school, you don't want to try to walk to the clinic if you're on the other side of the building. Certainly you don't want to try to come downstairs. You want to basically stay where you're at and tell somebody how you're feeling. If you can get your head kind of on the same level as your heart, that kind of equalizes your blood pressure a little bit, helps blood flow to the brain, and then the feeling might pass before you would actually faint. If you're with someone and they say that, I feel like I'm going to faint, help them to sit down if they're not already sitting down, stay with them. If there's one available, get a cool rag or a towel to put behind their neck, get them some water to drink. A lot of times some quick sugar like some juice or a soda, that helps. Some salty foods. If you're sitting, standing, outside running, it can happen at any time.
Thank you to Nurse Barton for shedding more light on this topic. This has been Luke Snyder
And Hailey Paetzel
reporting for Across Campus.
Thank you for watching this week's edition of Across Campus. We'll see you next week where the news is, right where you are, across campus.